your astrologer, Wonder Girl, and I am here to give you your weekly forecast for the week of Monday, January 23rd through Sunday, January 29th. Now, this week is an interesting week because we are starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. After all this stuff has been going on in Pisces, which has been a little hard, difficult, maybe things have been going a little slow, we want to break free, we want to move forward, we want to do new things, okay? And I think we're starting to feel it because we got a new moon coming at the very end of this week in Aquarius, which is a much lighter place of being more authentically yourself, of moving forward, of coming up with insights, getting ideas, our minds being very active. We've also got Mars moving into Aries at the very end of this week, which it signifies us being able to move forward with our plans on what we need with no one stopping us, especially because Aries is a much better place than Pisces is right now with a lot of weird stuff going on with the South Node there and Neptune, and really moving forward. But before we can get to this spot where we move forward, where we are really free to be ourselves, we have to deal with some of the junk. We have to clear all the junk out, especially in Pisces. That's been happening lately. And that can be a little hard. It can be a little hard because not only did we have Mars conjunct Chiron in Pisces last week, squaring Saturn, which made us feel like nothing we did could work, like everything we put in place didn't feel right, didn't get us on our journey, didn't happen. We now have Venus coming into that same spot, even though Mars is off of it and moving on. We've got Venus coming there, so our relationships are going through the same thing that we kind of felt like last week, where it's like, great, now other people aren't helping me. I can't get my relationships in order. Every time I try to move forward in my relationships, they do something or I do something that stops. You know, and I'm afraid that I'm going to get hurt or that something's going to happen and that it's not going to help me move forward. So you're dealing with that this week right before things start to get a lot lighter and a lot easier at the end of this week. Dealing with that. And so we have to learn how to bring our relationships with us on this journey and how not to get stuck in our old ways of relating and feeling and our old patterns and habits and emotions, and to really move forward. And that's a big message of this week, is learning to do things in different ways, especially leading up to this end of this week, and not doing things that are the same. Okay, and that's because we've got a lot of inconjuncts happening. Inconjuncts indicate changes, moving into new phases in our life between the Sun and the North Node, meaning identifying with your future and your destiny differently, not thinking about where you're headed in the same way that you were before, and really trying to think about it in new ways and to identify with your life and where it's going differently. We've also got Jupiter as an inconjunct in Chiron, meaning really having to think about your relationships differently, not getting stuck in old patterns and in old habits, and being able to work with other people in different ways, really trying to bring us forward. That can be difficult because we do have the Sun in a semi-square with Chiron, indicating us also not feeling super great about our identity, about who we are, about us moving forward, feeling a little hurt, like we're not good enough, like we can't do what we want to do. We've also got the Sun in a semi-square with Saturn. Like we can't get on this journey we want to do, and we can't move forward, we can't focus. Where's our power? Like we have no power coming to us, so that can be a little bit difficult. There are ways out though, if you're willing to think about things differently and to take advantage of some of the opportunities that are there. And these are represented by a lot of quintiles that we have going on. Quintiles in astrology are considered a little bit of a minor aspect, but I want to bring them up because they give you ways to get out of feeling trapped, of feeling stuck, of moving forward when you feel like you can't. And that's Mercury quintile Chiron. Think about your pains differently. Think about your fears differently. Think about what's holding you back differently. Think about that in very, very different ways moving forward, so that you're not stuck in the old ways, and to really begin to think about them instead of feeling them so much, so that you can move in the right direction. You've also got Mars in a quintile with Pluto, indicating changing the way you act. Acting in different ways to really move forward with these changes, so that you don't feel like the changes are moving without you on board with it. The Sun and Uranus are also making a quintile, you wanting to do things in different ways, be yourself, be authentic, maybe try new things moving forward. So these are all things that will really, really help you to do what you need to move forward. The last thing I want to mention that is a big thing, but it does not happen until the very, very end of the week on Sunday, okay? And maybe a bigger thing next week, although you'll feel the buildup this week, is that Mercury will conjunct Pluto in Capricorn. The Sun just did this a few weeks ago when we had big changes in our identity and who we how we identify with ourselves and how people see us and how we see ourselves moving forward. And now Mercury is going to be in that same exact spot. And so this can mean us trying to get on board with some of the changes in our lives. It can also mean us needing to change some of the ways that we think in order to move forward with our lives, in order to get to where we need. It can also indicate news coming to us. Perhaps as a result of all these things been going on with these frustrations and relationships not moving forward, about ways that we can get on this journey and we can go into the future. This Mercury conjunct Pluto in Capricorn is at the midpoint between the Sun and Saturn, which indicates these changes in the way that we think and in the news that is going to come to us is really going to help us, redirect to get on this journey and to identify with where our life is headed and to give us the focus that we need. We've also got the Sun and Uranus and a lot of planets in Pisces at the midpoint of those two planets, which does indicate us wanting to be free to be ourselves, to do things differently. And in order to do things differently and to be authentically ourselves, we need to work on our relationships, on the way we act, and to move forward with that in that way. So keep that in mind, that there are a lot of things going on about breaking free, about doing things differently, about thinking in different ways, so that we can move forward this week as it begins to lighten up at the end. Now, your card that I pulled for this week is the Knight of Cups. I actually don't know why I pulled this card, because to me it seems like a pretty happy card. It is a happy card, and the jacket's a good one, especially when it's upright. And this week to me looks a little challenging. You've got Venus conjunct Chiron, not easy. Squaring Saturn, not a good aspect. Mercury conjunct Pluto can also be very, very difficult. But the presence of the Knight of Cups does indicate that everything can turn out well in the end, especially if you think about the long term in mind. And when you think about your emotions, to not get too caught up in what you're feeling, but in how can I put something into place that will stand the test of time, that will last, that will bring solid foundations, that will move me forward. Okay, so I think it's really important that you get your relationships in order this week, even if they aren't feeling right, even if it's hard for you, especially because Venus is going to move into Aries, not this week, but at the very end of next week. While Mars loves being in Aries, indicating you being free to move forward, Venus does not like being there, because in Aries, Venus is forced to think about itself and not about other people. Okay, and Venus is all about other people and all about relationships. It's what makes your relationships flow so smoothly. And when it moves into Aries, you're not going to be able to think so much about other people. So really try to get your relationships in order this week, so that when Venus moves into Aries, it's not so much of a problem if you try to act more on yourself and not on the needs and the desires of everyone else around you. Keep that in mind. The Nine of Cups also indicates being creative, thinking about things in new ways, being inspired. So try to think about that too. If you get stuck, try to think, well, what inspires me? What resonates with my highest emotions? How can I move in that direction? And really think long term and not get stuck in what is happening right now, and open my mind a little bit so that I can feel happier, I can feel lighter, I can feel more free. And finally, the Knight of Cups also does indicate good news, an invitation, perhaps coming to you, an adventure that you're going on. And so that to me is very much so Pluto conjunct Mercury, when there's news that is coming to you. But try to keep this news in the right perspective. Know that it is trying to help you get on your journey, just as long as you remain calm and think about the long term and where it is going from there. So okay, that's all I have for you this week. Thank you so much for watching my horoscope. If you like it, please like it on Facebook below, share it right in the comments. And otherwise, I will talk to you next week. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great week.